In just a few months, 10 people lost more than $1 billion each. Not in startups, not in real estate, but in crypto. Not random traders, not clueless beginners. I'm talking about the most powerful people in the entire crypto industry. The founder of Binance, down $29 billion. The CEO of Coinbase, down $7 billion. The man who turned his entire public company into a Bitcoin bet, down nearly $5 billion. Exchange founders, venture capital legends, crypto evangelists, altogether tens of billions of dollars erased since the market peak. And here's the part most people get wrong. This wasn't a freak accident. This wasn't bad luck. And it definitely wasn't crypto failing. Because when the people who built the system, promoted the system, and profited the most from the system all lose massive amounts of wealth at the same time, that tells you something important. Crypto didn't break. It did exactly what it was designed to do. And once you understand how this system actually works, not the marketing version, not the Twitter version, you start to realize that these losses aren't a warning sign. They're the proof. There's a popular saying in the crypto world that goes something like this: if you hate crypto, it's because you don't understand it. That idea gets repeated constantly on Twitter threads, podcasts, Discord servers, and YouTube comment sections. Critics are dismissed as old-fashioned, uninformed, or scared of change. According to true believers, crypto isn't broken. It's just early. But after more than a decade of hype, experiments, collapses, and scandals, it's worth asking a more uncomfortable question. What if crypto isn't failing because it's misunderstood? What if it's failing because it's doing exactly what it was built to do? Well, to answer that, we have to go back to the very beginning. My name is Connor. I spend my time thinking about money, and more importantly, why smart people keep making terrible financial decisions. And if you've ever looked at the crypto world and thought, am I missing something here? This video is for you, because today we're breaking down why crypto didn't fail. It worked exactly as it was designed to. The original idea behind cryptocurrency wasn't ridiculous. In fact, it was appealing. The promise was a financial system that didn't rely on banks, governments, or centralized institutions. No middlemen, no gatekeepers, just math, cryptography, and peer-to-peer transactions. When Bitcoin launched in 2009, it arrived at a perfect moment. Trust in banks was at historic lows following the global financial crisis. People were angry, disillusioned, ready for an alternative. Bitcoin was framed as money for the people, decentralized, censorship-resistant, and immune to corruption. It was supposed to give individuals control over their own wealth without needing permission from anyone. That was the dream. But if we fast forward to today, the reality looks very different. Bitcoin has existed for more than 15 years now. That's not early. That's long enough to prove usefulness. And yet, almost no one actually uses Bitcoin as money in daily life. You don't pay rent with it. You don't buy groceries with it. You don't grab a coffee with it. Yes, technically, you can use Bitcoin to pay for certain things, but practicality matters. And here's the key detail that rarely gets mentioned. When businesses say they accept Bitcoin, that alone tells you something important. If the currency isn't trusted by the people who accept it, it's not functioning as money. So if Bitcoin isn't useful as a currency, what is it? In practice, Bitcoin behaves much more like a speculative asset. Its price isn't driven by productivity, earnings, or utility. It's driven by supply, demand, and belief, similar to collectibles or commodities. Supporters often compare it to gold, but gold has been valued across civilizations for thousands of years. Bitcoin is younger than most smartphones. Its value exists entirely because people believe someone else will pay more for it later. That doesn't make it revolutionary. It makes it fragile. And fragility becomes obvious when you look at crypto as an investment. Crypto markets are famously volatile. Price swings of 20, 30, even 50% are treated as normal. Compared to traditional markets, crypto is multiple times more unstable. That's why professional money managers, the people responsible for pensions, retirement funds, and institutional capital, treat crypto with extreme caution. When they invest at all, it's usually a tiny allocation, often closer to a gamble than a strategy. Because when you adjust for risk, crypto's returns aren't impressive. You're taking on enormous downside with no underlying cash flow, no ownership rights, and no legal protection. And that risk shows up clearly when you look at how many crypto projects survive. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, but surely this is just one side of the argument. So let me ask you something. What if some of the most successful people in finance and economics, people who built fortunes by spotting real value, have been warning about crypto for over a decade? Warren Buffett calls Bitcoin rat poison squared. Charlie Munger said it was beneath contempt and contrary to civilization. Jamie Dimon called it a fraud, then a pet rock, then a decentralized Ponzi scheme. Nobel Prize-winning economists like Paul Krugman, Joseph Stiglitz, and Nouriel Roubini all independently reached the same conclusion: that crypto isn't misunderstood. It's inefficient, unproductive, and fundamentally hollow. Even Bill Gates, a man who made his fortune betting on transformative technology, said crypto relies entirely on greater fool theory. And here's the important part. These people don't all agree on politics. They don't all agree on markets. They don't even agree on how money should work, but they all agree on this. Crypto didn't fail because no one warned us. It failed while the warnings were happening in real time. Since 2021 alone, millions of cryptocurrencies have been created. Not hundreds, not thousands, millions. And more than half of them no longer exist. They didn't just lose value, they disappeared. When a company fails in traditional finance, there are regulations, disclosures, and legal claims. When a crypto project collapses, investors are often left with nothing. No assets, no recourse, just a defunct website and a deleted Twitter account. This isn't innovation. It's mass financial experimentation with almost no accountability. To address this instability, the crypto industry introduced something called stablecoins. Stablecoins were marketed as a solution. Cryptocurrencies tied to stable assets like the US dollar. The idea was simple: enjoy the benefits of crypto without the volatility. But one of the most high-profile stablecoin projects, Terra, showed just how dangerous that promise was. Terra claimed to maintain stability through algorithms and incentives rather than actual reserves. It worked until it didn't. When confidence dropped, the system collapsed in on itself. In a matter of days, tens of billions of dollars were erased. For many investors, life savings vanished. This wasn't an edge case. It was the logical result of building a financial system on confidence rather than fundamentals. And if unstable assets weren't bad enough, crypto was supposed to eliminate the need for trust entirely. Don't trust, verify, as the saying goes. Yet somehow, the industry ended up concentrating massive power into centralized exchanges, companies that held user funds with little oversight. The most infamous example was FTX. FTX wasn't just another crypto platform. It was one of the largest and most influential exchanges in the world, backed by elite investors, promoted by celebrities, and praised by the media. It was seen as the responsible face of crypto. Behind the scenes, it was a disaster. Customer funds were misused. Records were non-existent. Internal controls were practically absent. When it collapsed, even experienced bankruptcy experts compared it to historic corporate failures and said it was worse. And once again, ordinary users paid the price. By this point, a pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Crypto produces the same cycle over and over again. A bold promise, massive hype, rapid price increases, a small group gets rich, then collapse. When things fall apart, the explanation is always the same. This wasn't real crypto. The technology is still good. Next time will be different. But when failure is repeated at scale, it's no longer accidental. It's structural. Strip away the language, the memes, and the technical jargon, and what remains is an industry driven by speculation, fear of missing out, and unequal access to information. Yes, blockchain technology may have useful applications in the future. That's a separate conversation. But the cryptocurrency industry as it exists today isn't solving real problems for ordinary people. It's not replacing banks. It's not democratizing finance. It's not creating stability. It's creating winners and losers. And the losers are almost always latecomers who believed the promise. Crypto didn't fail because critics don't understand it. It failed because understanding it reveals exactly what it is. Not the future of finance, but a digital mirage that disappears the moment you try to rely on it. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. If this video made sense or helped you think differently about money, hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.